Hello class, welcome to week 5. I'm going to go over a few of the assignments that are going to be due this week, and then also a little bit on the PowerPoints that you have to go over in order to do well on the quiz, and also to help you on the assignments. So you have quiz 5, which covers chapters 9 and 11, and I believe these are flipped around, but either way, as long as you read the chapter on physiology of physical activity and the chapter on sport and exercise psychology. So aside from the quiz, you have reflection 3, sporting event analysis. And for this assignment, you're going to watch a sporting event, and it could be live, it could be on TV. And for example, today is Tuesday. We have the NBA Finals, and I believe in the next few days there's also an NHL game. So those would be good games to watch because they're high stress games. There's a lot on the line for these events. And what you have to do here is identify an issue in relation to sports psychology. So some of the examples here are arousal, motivation, social loafing. And if we look at your PowerPoint here, here's a few other terms or concepts that you can look up in your book and then look for them in the game. So once you've identified that, you're going to write about that. You're going to describe what's going on, and then the second part to that is to discuss the impact it had on the individual or the other, the teammates, and the overall game. And you're supposed to find two of these examples in the sporting event that you are watching. So you're going to answer both of these questions for the first example and then do the same thing for a second one in the same game. So you're going to have to write a post of a minimum of 250 words, and that's due by Thursday. And then you're going to respond to two of your classmates' posts by Sunday with a minimum of 100 words. And I would recommend in your response to give a suggestion of how you can how the athlete or athletes could overcome whatever issue they were facing in the game. So if you look in your, you can see that there's some examples of how to overcome some of the setbacks that athletes may face during a high intensity game. So that's what I would suggest for your response, that you would include some of these tips. Final assignment for this week will be the CAP 3, which is a resume, a cover letter, educational requirements, and job market trends. So the first portion of this is your resume and your cover letter. Now, I have attached 3 different documents for you to review, and they give you kind of a guideline and some tips on how to create a cover letter if you've never done one, and then a resume, which you've probably already done this in the past, but this will kind of guide you to do it in a more professional manner in relation to a profession in kinesiology. So please open these up, and it'll kind of guide you through how to do this. Just try to do your best. And that will be the first portion of it. So that should be 2 different documents. One will be a resume, one will be a cover letter. And that's all part of part 1. And for part 2, which will be a separate document, you're going to write a 2-page paper where you're going to summarize the information that you've researched on the career that you've chosen so far that you're going to be pursuing. So what needs to be included in this summary is you're going to need to determine which degrees are necessary, prerequisites to get into such a program. So for example, if you're trying to go to PT school, most PT schools now have transitioned to a doctorate in physical therapy. So look up several PT programs, and you're going to need to note all the prerequisites. So what courses you need to have done, what GPA, observation hours, GRE scores, things like that. And then also what the requirements are needed to graduate from that program. So, for example, is there a minimum GPA? How many units? And then if there's a residency year or internship hours. Are there any certifications that are required or would be beneficial for the career? So aside from, let's say, getting a DPT or a PhD or an MS, is there any other certifications that would help you, get a job in that career? So, for example, if you're trying to be an athletic trainer, aside from your passing the BOC exam and getting in the ATC credentials, maybe it would also be beneficial to get a CSCS certification, so the Certified Strength and Conditioning Specialist certification. Then also you need to find out what the cost of the program is. It says this should include cost of living to give you a realistic view of what is required. So this is just to kind of get you thinking about, okay, if you're a working professional or if you're a working student, what kind of sacrifices are you going to have to make? Because maybe you won't be able to work during, let's say, the next 2 or 3 years if you're going to go through a pretty intense program such as a PA program. And then also, if applicable, how many students apply to that program each year and how many are accepted. So what the acceptance rate is for that program. And then also what the passing rate for the licensing or certification exam for your respective program. Finally, you should also look at the bls.gov website, and you can look up the career that you've chosen and then see what the current job trends are as far as salaries, how likely that profession is to grow in the next 5 to 10 years, and include that information in your summary. So it says here that suggests that you copy all of these questions and answer them in that bullet point form. But that's just for you to have notes. The paper that I want you to write should not be that. It should be a formal APA style 2-page paper with a title page and a reference page if needed as well. And I went over APA formatting last week, so if you need to review that, go ahead and watch that video as well. So we have a good amount of work to do this week, but trust me, this is all this information is going to be very applicable. That's the one thing I do like about these assignments is that they're not just to get some assignments done. I think the information you're researching here is going to be very applicable. So if you have any questions, please let me know. Let's see. I believe everyone is pretty much on track. If you're missing assignments or anything like that, please reach out to me. I'm going to try to update your guys' grades in the next few days. So if you're doing not so well with as far as your grades, as far as passing, please reach out to me to see if there's anything we can do to help you get your grade up. All right. Thank you guys. Have a great week.